In this video, I'm going to make 100 of these tiki necklaces designed by my friend Crazy Al. And if you want one, check out the link at the end of the video. Al made the necklace to commemorate a full-size tiki he made 25 years ago. Ooh. This is going to be an open pour mold, which doesn't give us nice flat bottoms on each casting. So that means we have to add material to the bottoms so that there's extra resin to machine off later. And the simple way to do that is just to build a little wax pedestal. And speaking of simple, I really want to make the world's easiest mold case. So I'm just going to use an old cardboard tube, some scrap cardboard, and just throw it together. I mean, that's pretty much as simple and cheap a mold case as you can possibly make. We're actually doing 2 necklace designs, so to save time, I'm just putting them together in the same mold. It's easier to assemble the case if the base is thicker, so I'm just making that out of a piece of scrap MDF. I usually seal my mold cases with beeswax, but in this case the cardboard and wood are completely covered in plastic packing tape, so there's no need for anything else to keep the rubber from sticking to the porous materials. So some scrap cardboard and a little bit of tape, and you've got yourself a nice mold case. Now it's just time to mount the models in there. I'm just going to use sticky wax and blue sprue wax and weld it all in there. I like this system a lot because wax holds the models in firmly, yet the mold comes apart easily when it's time to cut it open. My best rubber tip is to put the catalyst in the cup before you add the rubber. It makes it much easier to mix the 2 components together, and you don't have to spend as much time and effort scraping the sides of the cup. Thank you, vacuum pump, for doing your job. Now let's get this mold poured. I let the mold cure overnight, and this has got to be the simplest cut job ever. Just a single cut down one side of each part. Make the cut jagged so that the mold halves will interlock together and give you those nice, clean parting lines. I cast 8 of each style because I'm going to use them to make the production molds. The flash is practically non-existent, and the parting lines are invisible, and that's exactly what you want to see in a casting. Now that the castings are made and cleaned up, it's time to make the box for the production molds. The simplest way for me to do that is to use lumber from the scrap pile, and because I have a table saw, it's really quick and easy for me to make a box. I like to assemble my mold cases with screws. That makes them easy to take apart after the rubber has set. The wooden parts of the mold were coated with my trusty old friend beeswax, and then I pre-filled the interiors of the mouths with rubber because that was a really good place to catch a bubble. And once the rubber was cured, I attached the pieces into the case with sticky wax and put on a clear transparent front so you guys could see what was happening. So now I can pour the mold. As always, I pour from the bottom up. And the point to that is to let the rubber flow around the part and push the air out of all those little surface details. As the rubber rises, it pushes the air out above it, and it's just the most reliable way I've ever found to get bubble-free castings. What you absolutely don't want to do is pour the rubber over the parts so that it drapes and falls down on top of the parts. That's the surest way to catch bubbles, and you will be miserable when you have to repair lots and lots of bubbles in intricate parts like these. As usual, I let this mold sit overnight. Now it's fully cured. Oh, I love this method of making mold boxes. They are just so painless to take apart. Cutting the production mold is exactly like cutting the mold for the first parts. It's just a straight cut down one side. You don't need to cut both sides, and the less you cut, the less parting line you're going to have. If you make your cuts straight and smooth, then they can slide around and move against each other. And what happens is you get an offset parting line, which is really difficult to clean up. This quick break is to let you guys know that I have a Patreon. Link is down below. It's basically just hanging out with me in my studio. I try to show stuff I just can't seem to fit into YouTube videos or don't really belong there. Anyway, it's a lot of fun for me. I hope it'll be fun for you. If you're interested in supporting the channel, come check it out. And to those of you who have already signed up, thank you so much. Your generosity and support just blows me away. Okay, now that the mold is made, it's time to mix the colored resin for these pieces. I've done that several times before in a video, but if you want to watch me mix the resin, check out this short video. Tell you what, when you pour a production mold, you got to move quick because the resin is liable to set up before you get all the cavities filled. I like to use a really fast setting resin, and my open time is just a few minutes. It makes it more difficult to pour, but you can cycle the mold a lot faster. And I'd like to make a set of castings about every half an hour. All right, I ran the mold into the pressure pot, and now the witness cup is telling us we're ready to go. Let's go pull the mold and see what we got. Wow, these things are super clean. Absolutely no flash, no parting line. Just couldn't be happier with that. All right, so let's go ahead and get the rest of these things pulled out. Yeah, they're all looking good. Looking good, coming out nice and clean. All right, 8 down, only 92 to go. And the next step is to clean the bottoms by machining them nice and flat. In order to do that, I made a jig to hold the pieces in place to run them against the router fence. If you want to watch me build that jig, check out this short video. If not, here's the finished jig. The innovation here is that I use silicone putty to make the holder that locks the piece in place and holds it steady for machining. Absolutely works like a champion. Cuts the base nice and clean. And the final process before painting the pieces was to drill out the string holes. Here again, a simple jig held the pieces in place repeatably, and it made it very simple to just pop them into the jig and drill out the holes accurately. It's worth it to take the time to set up these jigs because you just make the process so easy and repeatable and reliable. These pieces are ready to stain and string, but I've done that process in videos before, so if you're interested in watching that, check out this video up here or wherever it is. All right, we got all 100 pieces done and they are looking great. I'm always amazed by the ability of silicone rubber and resin to capture fine detail and reproduce things with such perfect fidelity. While we were in production on this video, Al decided we needed to make a special edition of a piece in a different color just for you guys, just for the viewers of this channel. So we made some of these blue ones, and they're also available for sale. Check out the link in the description below. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this video, and I will see you next time.
I don't care what they say, LA is cold in the wintertime. It is